I had just finished mopping the floors after a group of kids spilled their drinks all over the tiles, accidentally having a little bit too much fun at their birthday party. I had been working at McDonald's for 3 years at this point, and pretty much I've seen it all. But at a glance, as I was putting the mop away, I noticed the floor to the employee bathroom was slightly open. Which is strange, it's a very heavy door and it always closes itself. But I couldn't ignore it. I had to investigate. Slowly and cautiously, I pushed the door open and stepped inside. The fluorescent light flickered above me, casting eerie shadows on the tiled walls. The bathroom was empty except for a single figure crouched in the corner. His face painted white, with a grotesque grin painted red right around the edges. It was Jake, one of the cooks. He was holding a pair of scissors and muttering to himself under his breath. "Jake? Hey man, what are you doing?" I called out to him, my voice wavering. There was no response. I took a step closer, but before I could say anything else, Jake sprung up for the corner and lunged at me, his hands outstretched. I dodged to the side, barely avoiding his grasp. My heart pounced in my chest as I realized that something had seriously gone wrong with my old friend. "Jake, it's me, Tim. You know me," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "We need to talk about what's going on. You're not acting like yourself." He continued to advance on me, his movements jerky and unnatural. "Jake, stop," I begged, backing up until my back hit the door. "There's no need for this." As I spoke, he laughed, a maniacal cackle that sent a chill down my spine. "There's every need to this, Tim," he hissed, his voice twisted and distorted. "I am the Joker, and I'm here to watch the world burn." With that, he lunged at me again, his fingers wrapping tightly around my throat. I struggled for breath, feeling my vision start to fade as my airways closed. Just as I thought it was all over, I felt something cold and metallic press against my back. "You're not Joker, Jake," I managed to croak out. "You're just some guy who used to work here." He squeezed harder, and my vision went black. In the final moments before I lost consciousness, I heard him laugh again. A horrifying sound that seems to echo through the bathroom and beyond. When I awoke, I found myself lying on the cold floor, my throat burning and my vision blurry. Jake was gone, but the scissors that he had threatened me lay beside me, blood pooling around them. The bathroom was empty, and the only sound was the muffled din of customers in the restaurant. I staggered to my feet, grabbed a handful of paper towels to staunch the flow of blood, and fled the McDonald's, never to return. Word spread quickly though, the theater about of what happened, and I found myself shunned by my coworkers. No one could believe that Jake, their friend and colleague, could have done something so terrible. But I knew the truth, and it haunted me for days. I saw the way his eyes have turned, the way he moved, the way he'd laughed. There was no doubt in my mind that Jake thought he had become the Joker, and he was out there somewhere, waiting for his next victim. I couldn't bear the thought of anyone else going through what I had, so I decided to take matters into my own hands. I dug through the employee files until I found Jake's address, and I made the decision. I would confront him. My heart raced as I pulled into the driveway, wondering what I'll find inside. The house was dark and silent, but I knew he was in there somewhere. With a deep breath, I stepped out of my car and walked up to the front door. I hesitated for a moment, then raised my hand to knock. As my knuckles connected with the wood, I heard movement inside, and a moment later, Jake answered the door. His face was still painted white, the grin red and twisted. It looked at me with empty eyes.
"Tim,"
he said, his voice hoarse and distorted.
"I've been expecting you."
I took a step back, my heart pounding in my chest. Jake, I don't understand what's happening to you. You have to stop this. You're not the Joker. He laughed, a cold and eerie sound that sent a shiver down my spine. Jake, we can get you some help. Find someone who can help you understand what's happening. Jake took a step forward, his eyes boring into mine. There's no help for me, Tim. There is only chaos and destruction and the thrill for the hunt. I felt a chill run down my spine as he spoke. Jake, please, you don't mean that. You don't want this. You don't want to hurt people. He leaned closer, his breath hot into mine. Oh, but I do, Tim. I just want to watch the world burn. Something snapped inside of me of what happened. I couldn't let him continue, couldn't let him hurt anyone else. With all of my strength, I shoved him backwards, sending him stumbling into the house. I followed him in, my heart racing as I scanned the room for a weapon. When I found a lamp, I raised it above my head, ready to strike.
"You don't want this, Jake!"
I shouted.
"You're still in there, somewhere!"
He looked at me, those empty eyes still unsettling despite the anger I felt. What do you know of my pain, Tim? Of what it's like to feel the weight of the world on your shoulders? My grip on the lamp tightened. You don't get to decide that, Jake. You don't get to decide who you are anymore. He cocked his head on the side, stunning me for the moment. You know, Tim, I almost feel sorry for you. You're so naive, so certain that there's a way to make everything right. But the truth is, the world is a dark place, and sometimes darkness is all there is.
"Jake, please! I just want to help you!"
He smiled, a sad and bitter expression. You can't help me, Tim. No one can. With those words, Jake lunged forward, his movement surprisingly quick for someone who looked as frail as he did. Before I could react, he had knocked the lamp from my hands, sending it clattering to the floor. I tried to regain my balance, but he was on me, his hands bony and strong as they locked around my throat. You don't understand, Tim, he whispered on my ear. You can't save me. No one can.